Scry looks simple, but it quickly wins more games of Commander than people realize. Today I'm going to show you why. We'll be breaking down how Scry works. We will also be talking about amazing cards with Scry, such as Commanders and Planeswalkers, and how this easy to use, hard to master keyword can make you win a lot more games. So if you've ever been flooded, bricked, or drawn the wrong answer at the wrong time, Scry is probably the keyword that will help with that all the time. So let's go on to Commander Class episode 154. So what is Scry and why does it matter? Scrying, or Scry, lets you look at the top of your card and decide if you want to keep it on top or put it on the bottom. Which may sound small, but in Commander it changes everything. It helps with the land drops, you're drawing few deaded cards, and you have way more control of your game plan with the deck. The ability Scry doesn't help you draw cards, it helps you pick better cards to draw. And it's why in a lot of sets, there's a lot of creatures or cards with the Scry ability. I think Scry is probably the most known and used ability in Magic the Gathering. But the thing with Scry, it isn't flashy, it just really helps build your deck quietly and potentially gets you the card needed faster, sooner than expected. But a quick thing before we go deeper into Scry. If you like me what I do and want to help support out the channel, I do have a small little Etsy shop where I make t-shirts and hoodies for people to enjoy. It helps me make Commander classes like this and other MTG or Pokemon TCG stuff. So if you would like to help out, please like, subscribe and buy yourself something nice. Alright, so back onto Scry. So Commander is usually a long game. So every draw matters to speed or slow down your potential of winning or losing. Scry fixes that. If you're turn 8 into a game and you're drawing a 1 mana elf that you don't really care for, that is a waste of a draw. However, if you've scryed beforehand and you got rid of that 1 elf, you might have got a land drop that you needed or a big 8/8 creature that was needed. So you're not drawing more cards, you're dramatically improving your card draw. Now it does have its downsides where you might scry only 1 or 2 and not get the cards you need, but you're getting closer then to the cards you need. So putting in a good amount or a large amount of Scry really does help. Because see, in early game it helps you with lands and not draw your 5+ mana cards that you will need later on. Mid game it still helps with ramp, but it also lets you get your board wipes if needed, your main parts of your engine if you have an engine themed deck, or kill spells or board wipes if necessarily needed. And then late game it helps get rid of the small drops that you don't need anymore, helps you finish your machine off or find answers of creature cards or other cards that your opponents annoyingly have. So you're probably wondering, what cards are really good that have Scry? Now usually I just talk about the Commanders or great cards, but there's actually a lot of Planeswalkers with the ability Scry. So if you have a Planeswalker in a deck and this does roughly the same thing or what you're planning on building, these Planeswalkers might help you more than you think. You get Planeswalkers just like Elmamister, Jace Mirror Mage, Jace Unraveler of Secrets, Kasmina Enigma Sage, Nico Eris, Nissa Steward of the Elements, Saheeli Filigree Master, Saheeli Rai, Kaya Untangible Slayer, Raoul Storm Conduit. All of these are great Planeswalkers to rather build around or one of them to just straight out build. One of these Planeswalkers can just straight out be your commander. I've seen a lot of these played, some more than others, but it depends on what your deck does and how many cards you need. So again, putting this in for its abilities, but also getting this Scry help really does do these cards some justice. Now that you know Scry helps a lot more than people think, you're probably thinking, I might want to build a Scry deck with the commander focusing on scrying. So I picked out some of the commanders that you're able to play and build a deck around with a Scry ability that also is really good to play. These are not my favorite, these are not the best, these are just some that I think people could have fun and enjoy building around. So if you've ever wanted to build a Scry deck, you get commanders just like Alibu Agent Witness, Bontu the Glorified, Galadri Light of Villanor, Hildra of the Icy Crown, Jensen Cathaleon Druid Exile, Thassa God of the Sea, the Scarab God, Zafi Thunder Conductor, Denethon Stoneseer, Nostro, Voice of the Crags, Hidetsu, Devouring Chaos, Therios, Triton Hero. Some of these are seen in CEDH decks, some of these are very valuable cards, especially some of the old arts for them, and then some of them are just really fun and amazing commanders to play as. Now that you've probably gone, I now have my commander, I now have a planeswalker for a deck, what other Scry cards do you have that are really good? Now when it comes to these, there are a lot of amazing Scry cards. Like I always say, if you want to draw a card, Opt is one of the best cards in Magic the Gathering in my opinion. And there is a lot of commons and uncommons that have Scry abilities that are really good. However, I just mainly focus on the rares and mythics. So if there's any weird rares or mythics with great Scry abilities, here is the list now. You get cards just like Platerium of Wang Sing Tong, Ciliacrium's Synthesizer, Threefold Single, Castle Vatras, Charming Prince, Door to Duran, Fall of Gilgalad, Fated Infatuation, Inscription of Insight, Isolated Watchtower, Jace's Sanctum, Lifecrafter's Beastry, Multiple Choice, Precontative Perception, Salvant Anthem, the Temporal Anchor. Now these are not the best, but these are very weird ones that have really unique abilities attached onto them, or just great Scry cards in general. There is one mentioned that is technically Scry but also not Scry, which is a very pricey but very good card called Scroll Rack, which I do recommend if you have the income for. If you add these cards into your deck, it makes sure that you get the better cards needed to help you when it comes to making the decision or not. But now let's wrap things up with my thoughts and opinions on Scry. Scry is one of those mechanics that everyone uses without realizing how good it is or how powerful it can be. Some people at the start, like newer players, will go, no, I don't need this card, and then regret it a turn or two later. However, I still think it's worth putting in. I do think Scry is such a good and powerful keyword that not many people understand or use, especially newer players. The thing with Scry is it's not flashy, it doesn't make tokens, and it doesn't help in a huge way, but it's a very consistent low amount of help that you realize after that without it you would have lost. So again, I think that's better than just a really big powerful keyword that does amazing things but runs out of steam very fast. Now when it comes to Scry, a lot of people will argue between Scry and Surveil, which is better. Personally, I think it depends on the deck itself, but I haven't made a commander class on Surveil, so I will probably make a class on that next, and then possibly talk about or make a video on the differences, the benefits of both. So if people are interested, let me know in the comments down below. But now that you know what the breakdown of Scry is, if you have any questions, let me know in the comments down below. If there's any amazing Scry cards that I missed, again, let the people know down below. While you're there, remember to like and subscribe and do all that YouTubey stuff we always ask for. And if you like this commander's class, I have last week's commander class here, a playlist of all the commander classes I make here, and a subscribe button here, and I shall see you all in the next video.